Yeah, 2011 Ford Ranger. It's the 4-liter V6. We're gonna be doing the thermostat housing under here. So assuming you're changing the thermostat housing because the thermostat is stuck closed or it's leaking, what you want to do if you have a bunch of coolant in there still is drain it from the radiator. There's a petcock on the bottom right that you can do. I'm not going to be draining it because this guy's been leaking out constantly, so there's not a lot of coolant left in it. So, yeah. Alright, what you want to do first here is just pull its intake, just remove it, pull the sensor off here. Next, for a little more clearance, we're just going to pull this throttle body off. It's 8 millimeters, just 4 of them. We don't have to really disconnect anything, honestly, just hang it up. Alright, next thing we're going to be doing here is just removing this hose clamp here, this one here. Perfect. Okay, we got one more hose here we can take off. And then there's also your cold temperature sensor right here that we can disconnect. You can get pliers or a flathead. Just push in between and then lift that guy up. So I'll do that right now. There we go. Kind of just move this sensor out of the way here. Cool. So once we pull this hose off here, there's going to be 3 bolts, 8 millimeters to get to. One here where my finger is, there, and then there's another one right up there. It's a little hard to see, a little hard to get to, but once we do that, then we should almost be able to lift it up. Next thing you want to do here is pull this hose. Once we do that, we'll have enough space to get this bottom hose out right here. This hose right here, mine is stuck pretty going there. What I do is just got a nice little upholstery tool. I'm gonna pry it off here. Yep. Now what we just got left is just this bottom hose right here. Alright, so we're pretty close here to take it out. I think the last thing we got to do here is just pull this clip right here. Pull right on out. Pop our coolant temp sensor off. Once you pop this bottom hose out here, it should be good. Pull right on out. There we go. So here she is, looking dirty as hell. Now would be a good time, or not the best time, but a possible time to do the knock sensor. As you can see, the valley here is covered in coolant, but the knock sensor just sits right there. So if you needed to do it, there you go. But for now, what I'm going to do is set up our new one. clean everything up over here, and then get ready to put a new one on here. It's gonna look good. So the best way to fit this new thermostat housing in, I know it's really tight, especially with this hose, is to kind of find a way to just get the thermostat housing in the little hole. Once you get it in, then get the hose in. Once you get the hose in, then you can push that hose down and fit the thermostat housing back in there. All right, once you get this thermostat housing back in there, make sure these hose clamps are nice and tight. Make sure that hose is in there, and just kind of work in reverse steps here. I'll put it on a time lapse now, and we'll finish it up. Got everything put back together. Go ahead and check your hoses, make sure everything else looks good, make sure everything's connected, sensors, and go ahead and fill up with coolant, run it for a little bit, make sure you're not overheating, making sure you're not leaking. If you have a coolant pressure tester, fill it up with coolant, and then put a pressure tester to it. But yeah, I'm going to fill it up with coolant right now, and then we'll continue. Alright, after putting cooling in, checking the leaks, making sure that nothing's going anywhere, looks pretty good. You know, just a reminder, the first time I did it, my coolant temperature sensor O-ring was bad, so I ended up swapping it with the new one that came in. So just a reminder on that. But yeah, just check your connections, make sure that there's no coolant leak anywhere, let it run, make sure you turn the heater on for a little bit, let it get to operating temperature, and you should be good. So, alright, thanks for watching. Peace.